Governor Walker joins us now from Boynton Beach, Florida. So first of all, I want to get your take on President Obama, the executive order. It seems fait accompli is going to legalize as many as 5 million undocumented people. You just heard Congressman Gutierrez before you. What do you think about all this?
Well, this president went from once talking about the audacity of hope to the audacity of the power grab. I mean, this is, in our form of government, the Congress has the legal authority to pass legislation. The President of the United States can either sign it into law or he can veto it. No one person can make the law, and yet what we hear now is basically what we heard from the congressman saying about the president is he's just tired of waiting, and he's going to go ahead and do this no matter what the rules are. And I think that's just incredibly audacious on his part to think that one person could actually think he has that kind of power over the American people without the appropriate checks and balances.
If the President did go through proper channels, Congress, and you were sitting in Congress, would you vote for what he wants to do, which is basically give working papers to the parents of American citizens who were born here from foreign countries, who came and were born here?
Yeah, right. Right now, we shouldn't be doing anything on this subject until we have secured our borders. And that's not just an immigration or domestic policy issue. That's a national security issue. We put incredible amounts of money in at the federal level into securing our airports and our ports of entry and the waterways. And yet we have a land border that we do very little, certainly not enough, to protect, not just against folks coming in without legal status, but more appropriately, when you've got ISIS and other organizations around the world that desperately want to attack our way of life here, having a border that's not secured is a national security, a homeland security issue. And until we resolve that, the Congress shouldn't be taking anything else up until we actually protect our borders.
Okay. And that's a fair point. I mean, as I said to Congressman Gutierrez, as soon as word gets out in South Central America and Mexico, and it's not going to get out in a micro, they're not going to know what happened. They're just going to go, there's legalization, and we're going to have a flood of people coming in and got to anticipate that. Now, the Republican parties, some believe that President Obama is laying a trap for them, that they'll have to react to what the president does, and they might cut off funds. They might, there's even talk in some circles of impeachment and all of that. Do you see the possibility that this is a trap being laid for the GOP?
Well, I just think it's a power grab. This is someone who the President of the United States said a month or two ago that his policies were on the ballot. We saw the American people overwhelmingly in state after state vote against those policies. And so now, instead of retreating and maybe figuring out a way to reach out to the other party that actually won majorities, not just expanding majorities in the House, but won a new majority in the United States Senate, which I think a normal person would do in most instances, they find a way to reach out and recognize will of the people. He's going the opposite direction, and not just on this point, but in the larger principle of saying there's a separation of powers. And
okay, but why is he doing it? Why is he doing it? I mean, you know, you're right. I mean, if he wanted to be conciliatory and work with the new Congress, he wouldn't do this. He obviously is doing it. So there's only one or two reasons that he's doing it. He's trying to bait the Republican Party into making a mistake, whatever that may be, or he doesn't care. He doesn't care. He's going to do what he wants the last 2 years.
Sadly, I think it's the latter. I think in the end, this is politically, it's a bad move for him as well, because I think most Americans can see this beyond just the issue of immigration. No matter where you stand on the issue of immigration, I think most people realize that the rule of law should apply to everyone. Whether you agree with them or disagree with them on this subject, the rule of law should apply to anyone. You can't just make the law up no matter who the President of the United States is. And I think people see that. And I think what they should do in Congress, Republicans in Congress, should take him to court, because I think it's pretty clear the President doesn't have the legal authority. He said it. He said it himself. He said it himself a year and a half ago that he wasn't the emperor and he couldn't do this. And now suddenly, 2 weeks after the election, he's talking about doing the very thing he said he was not legally able to do for many, many months, if not years.
Now, we know there will be court challenges to it, but it just depends how, you know, Boehner in the House, how he wants to react to it. Finally, you know, you are I wouldn't say a presidential contender, but certainly if you wanted to be, you could get into that arena with your reelection in Wisconsin. Something that appeals to you?
Well, I care deeply not only about my state, but about my country, and I think the next president should come out of the ranks of governors. I think there's a clear contrast between the kind of worn-out, top-down, government-knows-best ideas we see in Washington, D.C., versus, I think, the fresh, new, exciting ideas we see in the states that really empower people and put the taxpayers back in charge. I've been personally proud to be a part of that in the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah.
But I think whether it's any number of exciting governors out there, it offers a stark contrast to what we've seen out of Washington. I think Washington was the big loser 2 weeks ago on Tuesday.
All right, Governor, we appreciate your time very much. Let us know what you decide to do if you do run for president. Once you announce here, it'd be great. Plenty more ahead as a factor.